One of the million-dollar questions that organizations want to know is, how do I engage my workforce to achieve top performance? Howard Schultz, the longtime CEO of Starbucks, once said, "When you're surrounded by people who share a passionate commitment around a common purpose, anything is possible." Within this quote is a single word that we believe is a key answer to our million-dollar question: commitment. Starbucks, with annual sales of over $16 billion, is a great example of an organization that has found a way to achieve consistent top performance built on a foundation of passionate commitment. But how can you, as a current or future leader in your own organization, achieve commitment through aligning the needs and interests of employees with the goals and objectives of your company? In this presentation, my colleagues are going to help us answer that question by further exploring the meaning of commitment and its highly sought-after competitive advantages, as well as how it is measured. Additionally, we will discuss the development of commitment within an organization and the role that managers and leaders as a whole play in both its development and sustainment. Lastly, we will review some of the positive consequences associated with high levels of organizational commitment. We hope that in watching this, you'll be able to develop a greater understanding of the role commitment plays in building and sustaining top performance, and that you will be able to apply that understanding within your own respective organizations to achieve desired outcomes.
We've all experienced some type of commitment, whether it's to our family or maybe it's to cheering on that great favorite sports team. But what about in the workplace? What about organizational commitment? Dr. Abe describes this as a powerful force that gels together, binds together individuals to behave in a manner by which the organization would like them to behave. We'll explain a little bit later in this presentation some of the ways that you can create organizational commitment. But if the company fails to create commitment in employees, it can be pretty costly. Those employees will get up and walk right out of that door. They'll leave. So how can you help better create organizational commitment to not lose what the Work Institute's 2020 retention report says will be about 30% of the employee that leaves annual salary. Those numbers start to add up when you think about how many employees leave and what those salaries are. So we wanted to share some of the competitive advantages of creating organizational commitment. These include enhanced camaraderie, improved collaboration, higher productivity, lower turnover, and an overall great culture, a place where employees want to go to work every day. They're committed to that organization, to its people, and most of all, its purpose. Why are they coming to work today? And it's really important that you do this, and you'll see here how employer practices can affect job performance, as well as employee engagement and commitment, all flowing into the business results. So the impact that employee commitment has on the bottom line can also be pretty significant as well.
Hi, I'm Nate, and I will be talking about measuring organizational commitment. Now, why would it be important for an organization to measure employee commitment? Well, Peter Drucker said, if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. And of course, as Lexi discussed, there are a lot of benefits for an organization to increase their employee engagement. So it's reasonable then to say that we want to improve that. And we can only do that by measuring it. So much like SAS Institute believes customer service, for example, is difficult to quantify, the level of engagement or commitment from an employee might be difficult to assign a number to. However, as Lexi talked about, commitment is a byproduct of employees' buy-in to the organizational values and how well they feel they're treated and valued by that organization. So it's reasonable then for an organization to capture and quantify employee responses to questions about their work experiences and opinions of the company to measure employee commitment. So there are multiple survey instruments available to companies to help assess their employees' engagement and satisfaction. And an important thing for an organization to remember is that it is best to partner with a third party that's credible in giving these sorts of surveys and measuring employee engagement, rather than doing it on their own. When you engage a third party, the results will be much more unbiased and more likely to be seen as accurate and trustworthy by the employees. So I wanted to share some of the examples that we actually use where I work. We've partnered with Gartner to establish survey questions that were given to all employees in order to establish a baseline, in order to understand what is valuable, what is meaningful for employees, what do they look for in their jobs and in their culture. And everyone was given the opportunity to share their opinion and actually rank them based on statements in the survey. So as you'll see, I'll share a couple of these. In this first slide, I trust the organization was the statement that was given. And others were, I understand the connection between my work and the organization's strategy, or I enjoy working on my day-to-day tasks and assignments. And so responses range from strongly disagree to strongly agree. And you can see the percentage of those who had given a positive response, a neutral, or even a negative. And I'll come back to the comparison bar here in a moment. So what's important that is after that initial baseline was captured and we got those first results, it's very important that leadership share the results transparently with the entire organization so that everyone can see how well or how poorly the organization is doing in all areas and which ones require the most attention. So leadership then communicates their specific plan for how they will address and work to improve those areas that needed it. So for example, if the majority of the employees don't understand how their work is tied to organizational strategy, they need to develop a plan for how they will do a better job at providing context for employees' work at all levels of the organization. The other thing that they do is, as I said before, and you'll see from these upcoming slides, is that they've tried to find out what was most important about job characteristics, what was meaningful to the employees. And so you'll see, for instance, with this slide, is work-life balance was nearly 40% of responses valued that, followed by quality of coworkers, compensation, flexible schedule. And then they ask questions about the culture of the organization and what was most important to them and to the organization to meet its goals. And you'll see that almost half of the employees wanted accountability, followed by customer focus, agility, and being results driven. So as I said before, one of the important things is sharing that transparently and then giving a plan. But the ongoing measurement is what will help to increase employee engagement and commitment, because what happens each year in my organization and many others is they continue to give those employee surveys and communicate out, are we doing better or worse than the previous years? And so you'll see, and I'll go back to these original slides, you can see that I trust our organization has actually improved within this particular department. Comparatively, I enjoy working on my day-to-day tasks and assignments has gone down or gotten worse compared to the previous year. So ongoing evaluation demonstrates leadership's commitment to their employees and creates an environment of trust and transparency, and that contributes to employee commitment. And without it, an organization can only guess at what is working, and employees will not feel that they are being listened to, and that would decrease employee engagement.
Hi everyone, I'm Alex, and I'm going to cover managing for commitment. We've just learned the meaning of commitment, how to measure commitment, and the development of commitment. But how do we manage for commitment? What can managers do to effectively manage employee commitment? Managers and leaders are critical in developing committed employees, and the way they are managed and led can have a seismic impact on their level of commitment and performance. I have personally known many people who have left an organization because of their manager. They felt like just another number, and their leadership never cared about their development. Jim Goodnight, CEO of SAS Institute, says, if you take care of your people, they will take care of your company. Taking care of your people is crucial for managers and leaders to do because it builds trust and can increase commitment in your employees. 3 ways SAS focuses on managing for commitment is having the approach of coaching and mentoring instead of monitoring and controlling. Provide the tools your employees need in order for them to succeed, develop new skills, and grow. And finally, they value conversation instead of documentation for performance reviews and feedback. This leads you to be more effective as a coach and mentor because there's mutual trust and respect. People want to feel comfortable and respected, and it shouldn't be different in a work environment. These approaches that SAS took to manage for commitment did very well for them and proved successful for the company. I'd like to wrap up this section on managing for commitment with a visual that I stumbled upon that I interpret illustrating 4 things that managers should embrace in order to be successful at managing for commitment. These 4 things are integrity, consistency, sincerity, and trust. Be honest and sincere to your employees consistently. Build trust with them, and it will create more committed employees that you manage. Thank you.
To understand the positive consequences of organizational commitment, you first have to understand what it is. Work commitment, on some level, is a pledging or binding of an individual to a set of behaviors, and it motivates one to act. It is defined as the measure of strength of the employee's identification with the goals and values of the organization and their supervisor. There are 3 different commitment types that play a role in organizational commitment. The first, and arguably the most important, is effective commitment. This refers to how an employee feels towards the company they are working for. The employee is staying because they want to. The second is continuance commitment, also known as calculative commitment. And this refers to how an employee feels about the cost associated with staying or leaving a particular organization. The employee is staying because they need to. The third is normative commitment. This refers to an employee who feels obligated to help their colleagues and/or their employer. The employee is staying because they ought to. When a company acknowledges these different commitment types and successfully implements policies or procedures to support them, there are many, many benefits that both the employers and the employee get out of the situation. It is a win-win for everyone involved. The employee becomes emotionally attached to the organization, having a greater desire to contribute meaningfully to the organization. They choose to be absent less. They work harder. They improve production and overall performance. They experience lower levels of stress, even though they are likely working harder and longer than others who are less committed. They experience lower levels of psychological, physical, and work-related stress. They have less emotional exhaustion and depersonalization. They appear happier. They are able to exert more quality time to their family and hobbies. They have lower intentions to quit. And there is an increase in overall job satisfaction. They also seem to have an increased self-esteem and/or self-image. Managers report higher levels of compliance with strategic decisions. There is an avoidance of budgetary slack in financial planning, and they are more willing to engage in the organization on a social level. They are willing to provide extra help to coworkers and will volunteer for extra work-related activities. They're willing to arrive early or leave late for work. They engage in problem solving, competitiveness is increased, and there's a strong desire to improve overall performance of the job. In addition to elevating the workplace, research has also shown that when people are able to participate in an organization that embraces and promotes organizational commitment, there is a positive outcome that spills over to the employee's home life and society at large. Given the many benefits of creating strong organizational commitment, it would be a grossly missed opportunity for an employer or business owner not to hone in on making sure these policies and practices are in place to create such an environment.
Let's review a quick summary of what we have learned about commitment. Clearly, commitment has a significant impact on the successful performance of an organization. However, achieving high levels of commitment is not easy and is dependent on a variety of factors. In order to improve commitment, organizations need to be able and willing to effectively measure it and then take the steps needed to further develop it, focusing on the effective, normative, and continuance mindsets. Management tactics play a critical role in this development. Those who take the coach approach, focusing on the mentorship and overall well-being of individual employees, contribute greatly to organizational commitment, while those who don't often see their employees jump ship. Ultimately, the positive consequences and competitive advantages associated with commitment are numerous and essential for any company looking to achieve and sustain success and to accomplish the impossible. We hope that in watching this, you've gained a better understanding of the role commitment plays in building, sustaining top performance, and that you will be able to turn this understanding into action within your own organizations to accomplish your goals.